Hello and welcome to the TalkBGKY podcast, the official podcast for the City of Bowling Green. I'm your host today, Raina Johnson, Public Information and Broadcast Specialist for the City of Bowling Green. Today I have the pleasure of sitting here with Sergeant Brad Hogue from the Police Department, and we're going to be talking about a project we've been working on that we're excited to unveil as school is starting. We're kicking off the new school year with your safety in mind, especially around school pickup zones and buses. Today we're going to talk about a new PSA we created in partnership with the Bowling Green Police Department to help drivers slow down and pay attention. Sergeant Brad Hogue joins me today to talk about why this message matters.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
School safety. We started this project in May. Tell me where this idea came from.
School safety has always been a key priority for the Bowling Green Police Department, taking care of our school zones, watching for stop arm violations, things of that nature. The reason we decided to do this PSA is because at the end of the last school year, one of our great teacher partners was talking to me about how some days she doesn't feel safe doing her job during school pickup, that she's had several times where she's came close to getting hit by cars. Mm-hmm. There was one instance where I saw her almost get hit by a car, and she said that concerned her. And we got to thinking about it. Nobody, especially people that are out taking care of our children and working to help us, should be scared to go out and do their job.
Of course.
So this led to reaching out to other schools, and then I'm speaking to teachers who are telling me that that's every day that they feel like when they're going out to do dismissal that they're in danger because of people not paying attention or heavy traffic. And then I spoke to our cadet unit. They do school crossings. I talked to them about what they were seeing when they were out doing school crossings, and they said that they regularly see people driving carelessly or speeding through those areas. And this led to reaching out to the bus staff at Bowling Green schools, and they said that it's very common for people to run their stop arms, which that's something that we've long been investigating and prosecuting or submitting for prosecution, but they said that it's an ongoing problem. So that led to just brainstorming, how can we resolve this? We live in a great community. We have great schools here, we have great teachers, we have great people that care. So thinking about that, it's mainly people that are not paying attention. We're all guilty of this.
Phones.
Yeah, we get exactly phones, or we're thinking what we have going on at the end of the day. We're thinking about the next stop. We're thinking about this meeting. We're thinking about dinner. We're thinking about all these stressors that are in our lives. And next thing we know, we're passing the stop arm on a school bus, or we're driving up on the backside of a teacher that's trying to help kids get into a car. I don't feel that anybody wakes up in the morning and they say, you know what, I'm going to go frighten a school teacher today, or I'm going to put a child in danger. Mm-hmm. They get lost in their heads and they don't realize it. So what we want to do is we just want to try to get the information out as a reminder at the beginning of the school year, so hopefully people will remember that when they get out on the roads when school starts.
I'm looking forward to talking a little bit more about what the district has done to improve bus safety, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But tell me about the enforcement measures that are currently in place that is left up to the school's responsibility, and where the police department comes back in to support and keep the community safe.
We have a strong partnership with our schools. We're very thankful for that, and we're very appreciative of what they do. Currently, the way the process works, if a police officer does not witness a violation in regards to a school bus stop arm, the bus driver will document what they witnessed, the license plate, the model of the vehicle, and then they'll submit it to their supervision. It'll make its way to the police department, where it'll be assigned to an officer that goes out and investigates it, and then we'll take it to the county attorney's office for prosecution. Mm-hmm. And something that's important to remember with this is in Kentucky, the assumed responsibility of a stop arm violation is the registered owner of the vehicle. So the argument that folks have, well, I wasn't driving the vehicle, it doesn't hold up. If you own it, it's your responsibility for what that person does.
So we're noticing distracted drivers speeding. Where are some of these problems happening?
It's a combination of neighborhoods that we've got in the complaint zone. Some have been neighborhood areas, such as the Old Morgantown Road area and North Sunrise. We've received complaints about traffic on Covington and Wakefield, Ironwood, but a lot of it is on major thoroughfares like Lover's Lane, Dishman Lane, Cave Mill Road, areas such as that.
And so these aren't just city zoned districts and areas that have problems. This is county and citywide problem.
Absolutely.
Tell me some of the things that we need to keep reminding to our children when they're getting on the bus, getting off the bus. I'm sure they're going to be educated on this soon. I mean, school's starting.
Absolutely. It's never too early to learn about safety and how to keep yourself safe. Obviously, the bus driver, they're the chief of the bus. They are in charge. So follow the bus driver's directions. They're watching out for the children. They do a great job of keeping them safe. Still, even though the stop arm's out, and if they're going to have to cross traffic, make sure you get out far enough in front of the bus that you can see around it, and make sure always look both ways before crossing the road. Always keep your head on a swivel looking for potential problems or things that might not be safe. And I know that there might be people that hears that and they're going to be like, oh, how's the elementary kid going to know that? Well, we teach them. If it looks like a car's out of control or speeding, or if it looks like a bicyclist or a motorcycle or a pedestrian is coming within your route, just wait. Go back to the bus driver and wait for them to give you the permission to go.
So I'm talking about the role of the children and why, us as adults, parents, we're educating them. Tell me more about what parents and teachers, what role they need to take on when we're talking about our kids' safety.
Yeah, it's the same thing for everybody. It's just being aware of your surroundings, aware of being safe, and being aware of any potential problems. We tell our officers, keep your head on the swivel, stay engaged, pay attention to what's around you. If you see somebody that doesn't appear that they're paying attention, start making a decision early to maybe get away from them, step out of the road, try to get their attention, things of that nature. If you're a parent and you're going to pick up your child from school, like we talked about before, just pay attention. Put your phone down. It's fine. Whatever's happening can wait. If it's an emergency, there's plenty of places to pull off and handle that. Mm-hmm. The safety of our school staff and our children, that's paramount. And other people on the road absolutely is more important than what has you distracted at that point. Mm-hmm. So just try to refocus on the bigger picture and handle business that way.
Yeah, I would agree. I think parents should set the example for their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are watching everything, everyone. So I've started to realize I don't have any children of my own yet, but I know as a parent, I would be more worried about what my kid sees me doing. If I'm on my phone driving, what is that going to say about them when they start driving?
Mm-hmm. And that's something we lose sight of, myself included. I am absolutely not perfect. I'm thankful that my kids, they call me out all the time on my bad habits. And that's something I have to continue to work at and improving. None of us are finished products. As long as we wake up every day with the intention of getting better at something, that's a win.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, good points. Let's talk a little bit about the PSA recording. We kind of got the importance of talking about this topic. We got the feedback back from the teachers and some of the bus drivers that this is something we need to get out there to our Bowling Green community. But let's talk a little bit about the recording. So we started this right after school ended in May, and we went to Potter Gray Elementary, Briarwood Elementary.
We filmed traffic on Lover's Lane at Hobson Grove Park, where we filmed the traffic stop.
Like an actual traffic stop, what that would look like passing.
Absolutely. Miss Linda Crooks, who's now, when this gets released, a retired bus driver from the Bowling Green Independent Schools.
Thank you for your service.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Appreciate all she's done for our children. She talked about how much of an honor it was seeing kids literally grow up on her bus. That is so, so cool. But she came out and helped us. It was a great day.
The video, when you watch it, it's a quick 30-second PSA just to get that key information out. We need you stopping. We need you yielding for these buses when they're picking up kids and dropping off kids. But can you run me through or explain to me when a car is passing a bus, what does the stop arm mean?
Absolutely. It's very simple. It's just a stop sign that's attached to a bus. Mm-hmm. The official term for it is stop arm, but that's all it is. It's the same as a stop sign at an intersection.
Now, do you know how far back drivers need to stay either in front of the bus or behind the bus when the stop arm comes out?
There's nothing that I've read in the law to specify, but I'd recommend at least a car length. Mm-hmm. Think about it. If you're in front of the bus, you need to have space for the children to walk out and cross the road and then still be able to see what's on each side of them. If you're behind the bus, you need to be visible. So I would say at least a good car length.
Drive slow.
Absolutely.
Drive really slow. I mean, these are congested neighborhoods that these buses are going through, and these are children who have to go across the street or up driveways. And one of our drivers was telling us recently how he's watched 5 cars zip past that bus. Tell me a little bit about what you noticed when we were walking through some of the buses, like the safety measures to keep other drivers accountable that, they can come back to. Tell me about that.
They do a great job of monitoring safety conditions surrounding the bus and within the bus. It's clear that they put thought into safety, and that they're very proactive in keeping the children safe and then the people around the bus safe, and hopefully held accountable if they choose to make these violations.
Mm-hmm. To the registered car owner, they get that car tag or the license plate number, right? And they record it.
Yeah.
They can file a case on that.
Yep. Police officer will be following up with them. Oh, something else about the PSA probably need to recognize is when we first started noticing these things, I reached out to multiple people in the school district. Absolutely nothing but wonderful. Everybody's on board at the Bowling Green schools. It's what can we do to help? It's like, what do you need for us to help you get the message out? Greatly appreciate it. I was speaking to somebody in the community yesterday. We had a Coffee with a Cop event, and they came out and talked. And we both agreed what makes Bowling Green unique amongst other places is it's not us versus them. It's we. We all have the same goals. We all have the same commitment to making our community better. Couldn't ask for any better people to work with.
It's not just drivers that we're looking at. I mean, these students are walking from school. Some points that when I was doing some research, at least advice that I read online, I remember reading, remember that school, you won't see student walkers immediately. Like they're walking from a sidewalk, they're coming from the school, they're walking a long pass down. Kind of help me through this conversation. What are some more pieces to keeping pedestrians safe, their school zones, driving laws? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Just like what we've been saying, it comes down to being in the game, paying attention to your surroundings, and being commitment to safety. There's going to be kids out walking. When I was a kid, I went to TC Cherry. I walked to and from TC Cherry every day. A lot of that involved walking on non-sidewalked roads. So just be aware of who's in the roadway, who's walking. Be aware of your speed.
Speed limit is 15 miles an hour in a school zone?
Yeah, and some of them, it depends on what the max speed is.
Okay.
And what the roadway is. But a lot of them are 15 miles per hour. But even outside school zones and neighborhoods, you're looking at the majority of the time 25 miles per hour. So that's something to be aware of. And some of the complaints we've gotten have been in those neighborhoods where people are not abiding by that rule.
So I've drove a lot through Bowling Green. I've lived here long enough that I can tell when I need to avoid a spot in town. And, I think avoiding areas that don't need to drive through is a good piece of advice to give to people. You know, it's not good to go cut through Covington. It might be a little faster at 1:00, but by 2:00, 2:30, there's parents waiting to pick up their
Absolutely,
kids.
yeah.
Don't cut through the traffic. It's safer to get on the bypass, abide by the laws, let the parents get in their zone, go get in line for pickup. We've talked a lot about what parents need to remember, advice for them, but if you had one more thing to recommend, to preach, what's something else you want to make sure these parents know when they're driving past these school zones?
It's not just parents, it's anybody.
Anyone.
A momentary lapse in judgment or lapse in attention could lead to lifelong consequences for multiple people. Like I mentioned earlier, nobody wakes up wanting to hurt somebody else, especially a child, a teacher, another parent, or another person in a community. It's just trying to go about their life. But a momentary lapse in judgment could lead to you having to live with the guilt of harming another person that did absolutely nothing other than exist or trying to do their job. That's something that they can stay with you forever. They will stay with you forever. Being a police officer, I've been on for 18 years now. It's very unfortunate that we've had to respond to multiple incidents in our community during that time where people have been ran over and killed. And the majority of the time, that's been by good people who may have made a mistake in that moment, and now they have to carry that burden for the rest of their life. And obviously the other person, their family too. You have an opportunity to prevent that from happening. Like, you're in total control of making a decision to where other people around you are not negatively impacted.
I remember you were telling me it was, a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago was the last case. We're doing this education and outreach to prevent it from the next case happening. That's the last thing any of us want to happen in our community. So thank you for that recommendation. Visually, when a driver is going through a school zone, what will they see as key factors? Like when they're driving by, like they will know.
Yeah, they should know if they're paying attention. Our school zones are marked. They have the signs saying school zone. Some areas have the flashing lights to remind you.
That, yep.
Yeah, if they're paying attention to the roadway, they should be aware of what they're going into. They'll see the signs notifying the drop in speed also.
Sergeant Hogue, tell me what new ideas or solution the department is currently exploring to make school zones safer.
Yeah, like I said earlier, we've always taken this serious. It's always been a priority for the Bowling Green Police. But what we look to do in the near future is we're going to start aggressively enforcing school zone and the bus stop arm violations. So these there's a school zone or there's an area we've received a complaint in, there's going to be a heavy police presence. It can't be all the time. It might be sometimes in the morning. It might be in the afternoon, but we're going to be there. And I would prefer, and I think everybody would agree with this, for our time to be wasted. For an officer to go out there and watch for violations and not see any. Because if they don't see any, that obviously means people are paying attention and being safe. That's the reason we're putting out this message. That's the reason we're posting things on social media. That's the reason we did the public service announcement. So we don't need for the police to be in these school zones enforcing these laws. We would prefer not to be needed than having to be out writing tickets. But that is something that we will do to help ensure the safety of those in our community. And we have some other outside-the-box ideas that are in development now. We go out and we extra patrol these zones. We do traffic enforcement in these zones. If we still receive complaints, we are exploring some outside-the-box ideas that will be coming out in the near future.
Sergeant Hogue, can we talk a little bit about where these problems are at around in Bowling Green? I would hate to, call out specific places, but there are, I know Natural Elementary, I used to drive off Cave Mill Road a lot. And at 3 o'clock, it is pretty congested, and it can become difficult, maybe even frustrating to know that you got to drive through the school zone. It's going to be slow at 3 o'clock, 2:30. But where are some other places in town that, we really got to remind our residents and community, slow down, be safe, be mindful, pay attention.
So I would encourage everybody, if you're on the roadway, pay attention. Assume that there might be somebody up the road that you could hit or that you could negatively impact forever. So I would just encourage people to treat everywhere like a school zone. If they can, just pay attention. And I know people listening to this are going to be like, that's not practical. Well, it is if you challenge yourself. If you get behind the wheel of a car, we teach our officers with our driving training to keep their mind focused on what they're doing. That means moving their eyes every 2 to 5 seconds to check their mirrors. That means paying attention to the vehicles around them. If we can do it, and by no means am I saying we're perfect, but anybody can do that. It's just challenging yourself, get out there and doing it. People are going to make mistakes. If you realize that you're not doing it, just challenge yourself to do better next time.
I'll say a piece of it from living in Bowling Green for 8 years now. I've realized you can tell a local driver from a driver who's just moved in when they do not have a sense of urgency to get from destination point A to B. When you finally just slow down, it doesn't feel as stressful to drive in Bowling Green. Everyone complains about Scottsville Road, but yes, it'll be congested at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. That's just bottom line. But you slow down, you start to realize it's not as dangerous on the bypass as people make it out to be. That one lane has made it safer. Go 35 miles an hour.
You've clearly been trained to drive by the city of Bowling Green.
I've done the Safety Dave class.
It is clear. You have quoted the class. Shout out Safety Dave.
Yes, thank you. Because those are just points that everyone, again, like you've said, it falls to everyone to be mindful, open your eyes, be alert.
Nobody's better than anybody else.
Yeah.
We all have the capabilities to do this. We all contribute in some way. Let's just refocus and think about the difference we can make just by being safe on the roadway. Nobody wants to get up in the morning. I said this a lot, but it's true. Nobody, if you're trying to go to work or you're trying to take your kid to school and you get behind a school bus, you're going to think, oh no, here we go. I just want to get out of here. You get that anxiety. You want to get around it. But think why that school bus is there. Think about why it's stopping with the stop arm out that you can't go by.
Yep.
It's to keep other people safe, including you and your children. And I feel like if you start looking at it from that perspective, it doesn't become that much of a burden. It's something they're going to be out. Just expect it and just be thankful that they're out there doing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm remembering these school drivers are starting at 6 a.m., maybe a little earlier than that for some of these places in town, and they're driving all morning and they're driving all afternoon. So be on the lookout for these drivers. Slow down, stop for the stop arm, watch out for kids. Kids are walking, kids are riding this bus. They're excited to be back in school. I know that this new school year will help them out, but we gotta keep them safe. We gotta keep them safe.
What you just said, it made me think. If you see a child out walking, walking to and from school, anticipate their actions. That if they're in grade school or high school anyway, they might make an irrational decision.
I've seen some kids run out on the road before.
Exactly. So when you see them, just anticipate something's about to happen. Slow down, keep your head on a swivel. Think about going back to Safety Dave's training. Think about leaving yourself an out. If the kids start starting out on the road, what are you going to do if they dart out in front of you? Do you have time to brake?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have time to pull off to each side? Just simple things like that to think about. Yeah. Plan ahead.
Sergeant Hogue, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk about this important topic of school safety, school zones, bus safety. I'm really looking forward to getting this information out to our community. I think this will be helpful, impactful. There's still more room to grow, clearly. We have a mission to make these school zones safer now. We've talked about school bus safety, school zones, pedestrians, drivers. Check out our recent PSA on school bus safety on the bgky.org website. Sergeant Hogue, thank you for joining me on the podcast today. We are talking about such an important topic, school buses, school zone safety. I want to thank you again for listening and talking with me today. Thanks for tuning into the TalkBGKY podcast. Whether you're a parent, teacher, or someone driving through the school zones, remember, safety starts with you. So let's protect our kids. Have a good week, and we'll see you next time.